Dr. Kulsum, you have done a lot of research work as well as has the expertise in the local government system. Obviously, in the Pakistan, we have a three-tier system, state institution system, and the third tier, which works close to the communities, is the local government system. Even that system is at, I think, at the three-tier as well. So, what do you think? What the local government institution, whether it's a district government or the Tehsil government or even the union council, whatsoever, can play an effective role so the real social change may be observed at the bottom level. So, and further, how our policy spectrum may be, the approach of our policy spectrum may be changed from top to bottom approach to the reverse order.
ऐसा है कि बदकिस्मती से लोकल गवर्नमेंट को हमने पावर्स नहीं दी। जब लोकल गवर्नमेंट के पास पावर्स थी, जितनी भी यूनियन काउंसिल्स होती थी, आपकी एक काउंटी है, आपका एक विलेज है, आपकी एक यूनियन काउंसिल है, उसका कोई भी हेड है वो वहाँ के लोकल लोगों को जानता है। When you know the local people, it means you know their problems, right? And आप उसको बहुत आसानी से sort out कर सकते हैं. If someone is in need of something, then they can contribute for that. And especially local government को आप use कर सकते हैं local decisions के लिए भी, जो कि हमारे यहाँ पहले एक systemized way था पंचायत सिस्टम का, जरगा सिस्टम का. जो छोटे छोटे इंसिडेंट्स होते हैं, जो छोटी छोटे डिफरेंसेस होते हैं सोसाइटी के, उसको अगर लोकल लेवल पे ही सॉर्ट आउट कर लिया जाए इन दैट वे कि वहीं पे ही लोग अपने ग्रीवियंसेस, किसी के अगेंस्ट है, नेबर के है, किसी के भी अगेंस्ट है, उसको अगर वहीं, तो हमारे कोर्ट्स जो हैं, देयर वुड नॉट बी लॉट ऑफ पेंडिंग केसेस. और इसके अलावा जो एक पुलिस सिस्टम है वो भी लाइजोन होना चाहिए लोकल गवर्नमेंट के साथ, ताकि वहाँ पे जो लोकल लोग हैं उनकी सिक्योरिटी उसको भी देखा जा सके, और ये भी देखा जा सके कि वहाँ पे उनमें कौन सा एरिया है द वंस जहाँ पे लोगों को ज़्यादा सिक्योरिटी की ज़रूरत है. ये सब वो चीज़ है जिसमें लोकल गवर्नमेंट को पावर करने की नहीं, अवेयरनेस देने की ज़रूरत है, उनको इतनी स्ट्रेंथन देनी चाहिए. आई डोंट थिंक इट्स ओके. अब पुलिस लाइजोन कमेटी जो है वो अभी वर्क कर रही होगी लोकल लेवल पे, बट आई थिंक इन मुशर्रफ एरा ये लोकल गवर्नमेंट में जो पुलिस लाइजोन कमेटी थी, जिसमें कि द पीपल वर आल्सो द मेंबर्स ऑफ दैट कमेटी एंड दे वर हियरिंग एंड लिसनिंग द ग्रीवियंसेस द वंस एंड इट वाज ऑल सॉर्टेड आउट ओवर देयर. तो इस तरह का अगर एक सिस्टमाइज्ड वो कर लें और अपनी पॉलिसीज़ को जो है उसके अकॉर्डिंगली देखा जाए, तो वो दैट वुड बी मच बेटर.
Very valid points Dr. Kulsum has raised. Unless until the local government institutions are empowered. And when we talk about the empowerment, it means the political empowerment, it means the administrative empowerment, and as well as the financial empowerment is not there. Until then, the local government institution cannot play their effective role. And obviously, I agree with you that when there was a NRB ordinance 2002, in which that was a 7D model, of the governance of the three-tier system, it works very well, and the local government institution in Pakistan very much functional. So that is still one of the gap. So Dr. Samina, since we are talking about the various gaps, so what do you think if you are going to figure out some gaps in our social systems, what are the key gaps which you think are most relevant gaps which are creating a barrier for our social development?
Okay, so that's a very good question, a very difficult one to answer, and I'll try and give a couple of insights, I think, from my experience. One, I think, is that we've got some really good institutions who are working within themselves as effectively as they can. However, there needs to be so much more interagency working. Information needs to be shared between institutions. Things don't need to be replicated, duplicated. We need to make a system work effectively so that there isn't duplication and such things. We need to become better at sharing information, like I said, including data, so that we know actually what are the challenges being presented. We need to be able to calculate some of this and potential risks, you know, for the future. We also need, I think, a very structured response to social issues on a ground level. So this is going back to my point about social work, and I'm a really strong believer in the need for social work to become a regulated profession, not just in Pakistan, everywhere. Because I think the people who work on the ground on a grassroots level need to be equipped, first of all, with the right skills to be able to deliver interventions, but secondly also to be accountable for what they do. So we're not working in silos, we're working together, we have mutual agreements about what our responsibilities are, and are also accountable for, you know, what we are doing to one another and to society at large.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think very pertinent approach you have highlighted, like a holistic approach is required, and one interesting area which you have usually, which is not on our radar right now, how to regulate the social system. When we talk about the regulatory framework, obviously it has to be a facilitating framework.
Yes.
Instead of a policing approach, it has to be a facilitating approach. And Dr. Sumra, one thing which obviously we do have a lot of policies in the social area, education policies, health policies, water policy of 2018, sanitation policies, poverty related various frameworks are exist in Pakistan, but still the picture is not so rosy. Whether this is a policy gap or there is a disconnect between the policy planning and the program, or what do you think? Either the institutional capacity is not there for delivering those policy goals into the real world. What do you think? What are the key?
In fact, the willingness to implement the policy is not over there because of the discontinuation of the governments and all that. In fact, when every government they put on their implementation, so they have their own vision. They don't go for the previous continuation, so that's the reason. So they don't implement with the will that it would be for a long period of time. So that's the basic reason, in fact. And they don't realize before time that after 20 years what kind of problem we would be facing, like the coming problem, maybe we would be having a food shortage in Pakistan because it's a rapid urbanization, and we never thought about that we have to create the farming system over there, or we have to give on the lease to the lands to the you can say the private companies, so they can grow some food and all that, and we can fulfill. This would be the coming issue in Pakistan. But problem is this, that in fact the layers in Pakistan of the institutions what we have, because they don't have the full capacity, first of all, and second thing is this, that the system of bureaucracy is also monopolized with the politics. So that's why in any province, so we cannot say that there is a one group or the people who can fulfill this and all. So there is a long systemized process that the people they have to cross, even they have to implement the stuff. So that's the reason. In fact, there is no will. What I can say, they can have a little bit capacity and all that. The people are experts, but they cannot liaison the previous goals with the present government. So that's the reason, in fact. So they have to continue.
The political will is required,
yeah,
and we have to go for the structural changes.
Yes,
and that is a real.
But that's very difficult here, because when you have to make the structural changes, so it's not easy, because the court intervention is there undue over there, and then there are a lot of litigation over there, because you cannot reform step by step, maybe if you reform the civil servants and
What is
all
your
that.
opinion about 18th Amendment? I mean, because
In real sense,
that is
the
the
18,
distribution
yes,
of the
yes.
functions.
I don't know, I have to say this open in a way. In fact, I am not in favor of this one. The provinces, they have the powers and all that, because they cannot give the powers to the local people, the local government.
So, do
So
you think this is not the issue of the 18th Amendment?
Yes.
But the issue is this, that those powers has to be transferred from
Yes.
the provincial government to the local government.
Every cost,
So-
because the local issues, the local people, the local elected members, they know very well. If we will not give them the powers, they should be accountable, but we have to give them the powers so that they can deliver something to the people. So when the local people, local level, grassroots level, the change is not there, the progress is not there, the local economy is not developed, you cannot do anything. So that's the reason. So from grassroots, you have to get the progress, you have to develop the economy at local level, that what is good over there in a way, that if we need an industry, a small industry or small entrepreneurs, we have to give them some funding and all that. But it should be the local government, those who should be who should be like dealing with all these matters. What I think, without that, if the grassroots level the people are not satisfied, so they don't bother who is the prime minister, who is the president of the country.
Samina, any final comment from you?
No, I just want to say that, thank you for inviting me to speak today, and I've got lots more to say. Hopefully we will meet again in the future.
Both of you are more than thanks for your very professional contribution on the subject, although this, I think, this is a very critical area. When I see the ranking of Pakistan on the scale which is developed, or on the index which is developed by the United Nations, which is called Human Development Index, which is the most widely used to gauge the social development in the respective countries. Pakistan being ranked 154th country out of 189 countries. This is a very alarming situation. Even our recent national security policy, our focus is geo-economics instead of a geo strategy. So, but economic development cannot be achieved unless until the social development is being is attained at the required level, and in which the human capital and the human resource plays the most important role, and that comes under the domain of the social development. And these economies can only be converted into the viable economy when we use optimally the utilization of the human resources, and that is the era through which we are passing. It's a knowledge based economy era, or an extended era which is a digital era, which is also the part of knowledge based economy. If Pakistan want to grow in a sustainable development and want that the Pakistan footprints has to be visible in the international spectrum, we have to focus our social fabric, and we have to use our human resources in an effective and efficient manner.